Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised. Because after all, this is what happens when you get someone on YouTube like me, who was raised by an Army veteran who happens to be a truck driver. It's in my DNA at this point. All right, where we left off. The FDA has carefully considered and responded to these comments in this final rule. Even the ones that are just so ridiculous to be absolutely nauseating. The sympathy I feel for the poor panel that had to address the same issues over and over and over again throughout the entirety of this document. I don't think it could be measured. If I had been on that panel, I wouldn't have just fell off the wagon. I would have face planted off the wagon. You know what I'm saying? It is insane how many times they've had to readdress the same comment multiple times. Like, I'm just reading it with you guys, and even I'm just like bone tired. Bone tired. I want to talk about an exercise in patience. Contrary to the commenter's claims that FDA has not revealed all the sources upon which it relied, an assertion for which the commenter provides no support, the extensive sources upon which the FDA relied in issuing this plan are listed in Section 11 of the proposed rule. For the love of God, they have done nothing but cite sources. Literally cited all sources. The JRC has complained, of course, that they didn't use the names of some of the folks who came forward or wrote in regards to the comments for the ban. But see, the problem is with that is they're allowed their anonymity. Particularly when we're dealing with a shady, evil, corrupt organization like the JRC, who are known to go after and intimidate anyone that speaks out against it. We are allowed, the FDA is allowed to protect the identities of vulnerable persons so that the JRC can't do exactly that. Okay? Everything else has been cited. The ARC has been cited. Those doctors cited. The disability rights organizations cited. The research, data, and documents cited. Everything has been cited. This is the government I'm talking about here. If anything, they tend to go overboard. All right? To even try and say, but you're not citing your sources and you're just biased is just absolute garbage. It's garbage. They know it's garbage. I know it's garbage. The world, those of us who know about this situation, know it's garbage. Right? For the love of God. What do you want them to do? Put out a hardback book with the list of every single agency, doctor, and provider out there that help provide information in regards to alternative treatment programs to have for your perusal? Because if you do, scroll down to the bottom of the document and they're probably there. It's a ridiculous argument. Easily proven wrong by just scrolling up or scrolling down. The JRC has a long history of saying things boldly with their full chest, only to be absolutely eviscerated by facts, logic, and reason. My three best friends: facts, logic, and reason. I insist upon it. Always. Always, always, always. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's no bias here. And you can't call it bias just because literally the entirety of this field disagrees with you. You may have a few sympathizers here and there, but by and large, even research centers like those at Yale, who have literally blasted radiation directly into neurodivergent brains to help with behaviors, stand against you. If those people are standing against you, think about your life choices, all right? God. And in Section 11, and some such as the reports the FDA obtained from outside experts, which is just what we were talking about. They were cited, where they work is cited, what their expertise was cited. For the love of God, what else do you want? God. Were included in full public docket for the proposed rule. This process satisfies the requirements of due process. So, they allowed the JRC to comment. They allowed the JRC to provide evidence. They allowed the JRC parents who support this insanity to come and give their testimonies. They were given all the same opportunities as the rest of us were given to provide information, testimonials, all of that good stuff. It is not our fault, nor is it the FDA's fault, that your evidence, what few sources you would cite in support of your insanity, are ridiculously outdated. So outdated as to be proved absolutely worthless. It is not our fault that the so-called clinical study that the JRC put forward as evidence in regards to the so-called success of the GED device was so horrifically bad that even if that kind of presentation was given for a third grade science fair, there would be an F. Okay? That is not the FDA's fault. That is not our fault. I'm sorry, your evidence is garbage. Okay? Nor does the FDA or anybody else with two brain cells to rub together have to impart the same weight to ridiculously outdated studies and doctors Israel's, I don't even know what you call that study, but whatever the hell that was supposed to be. First of all, to be considered with the same weight, it would have had to been a properly conducted clinical study. Control cited, whatever concurrent treatment programs that were being utilized along with the GED device should have been disclosed. There is a lot wrong with that clinical study. That is why the FDA did not give it the same weight as the studies in regards to the current standard of care literally used everywhere else. Because those studies, that data, and that research did all of that. Plus, showed the longevity in regards to the behavioral changes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. JRC did literally none of these things. They screamed about Big Pharma, stamped their foot, and provided a badly pieced together clinical study that wouldn't make it before a third grade teacher before being marked with an F. That doesn't make us biased. That makes your science absolute garbage. Okay? You can't even argue properly to support your insanity. And that's literally because you don't have a single leg to stand on. All right? Due process was allowed. Both sides were allowed to bring forward their evidence. The JRC's evidence is worthless. We have gone over the multiple reasons as to why it's worthless. We don't have to impart the same weight to the JRC's so-called clinical study as those that have been done on alternative treatments when it's so shoddily bad. Okay? Just because you stamp your foot and say, but I said so. Alright? We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to utilize those comments. I appreciate your time this evening. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Excuse me, allergies. I'll see you all Friday. Bye-bye, everyone.